Hi everybody, it's Becky with Icing on Top Becky's Cakes, and today we're going to make this adorable monster cake, and we're going to decorate it in all buttercream, and then use a little bit of marshmallows for the feet, the teeth, and the horns. Yeah, and then as you can see, he's sitting on one of those fillable cake tiers, and I love using these. But if you're wondering how I filled it with M&Ms, I actually ran out of M&Ms and washed a can of soup and stuck that in there. So there's a little trick to it. If you run out of M&Ms, stick a can of soup in. And then, so I'm going to cover this hole with a cardboard circle. It's a 4-inch hole, and I have a 6-inch cardboard circle here. So I'm just going to stick that on. And you can just put the little guy on top of that. But I wanted to really make sure that that cardboard circle didn't show, so I just taped it down and then I flipped it over so the cardboard's on the bottom, and that way I was sure that the cardboard circle would not be showing when I had my little monster on top. Now here is the main piping tip that I'm using today. It is a super large grass tip. And if you have the 233 Wilton, you can use that, but this is the 259 Attaco tip, and it is a lot larger, you'll notice, than the little 233 Wilton tip is. So you're going to cover more surface area, but you can pipe with either. So here are the little feet. These are made out of marshmallows, and they're really super easy to make. So I'll show you how I did this. So what we do is we take the marshmallow and we cut it almost in half, but don't go all the way, because that's going to be where part of our foot is going to be, our little toes area, right? So we're going to cut right about to there. So we're leaving more than 1/4 of it still attached. So cut in and then stick your scissors in there and then cut that straight up and off, leaving enough room for us to be able to cut some toes. And just cut that right off. And then for the toes, we're gonna cut in a little triangle on each side. So just pull that little triangle off and then cut in directly on the other side and cut a little triangle off from right there. So we go in not all the way to the middle, otherwise you'll cut the whole thing off, and then right about there. So like almost to the middle, but not all the way. And then once we get those two little triangles off, then we can cut a few more times to get some toesies in there. So just gonna cut, but not all the way to the middle again. Otherwise you'll cut the toes right off, and then we won't have toes for the monster. And so just cut right in here. And that makes a really simple way of creating little monster feet. And then we're just going to set these aside for when we're ready to put the feet on later. Then we're going to cut another marshmallow in half for the horns. Now this one goes directly in half so that we have a big side on either side, and then we're going to cut in the shape of a horn. So basically you're cutting a triangle, just doing it the long way so that we have longer horns. So just cut a triangle out of this half. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with the other half, and there we go. We'll set them aside, and then we will have our little horns for the monster. Last marshmallow that we're going to cut will be for the teeth. So we're just going to cut this one in half as well. And then we're going to cut triangles again, but these triangles will be smaller than the horns. So just cut little triangles here, and then we'll have the teeth. Now the cake pan I baked these in is the Sports Ball Cake Pan by Wilton. It's like a 6-inch round cake pan. So if you have a 6-inch round ball sphere like cake pan, that's what you want to cook your cake in. And so that's what I did here. And so that it doesn't roll away on me, I'm just gonna cut a little bit of the dome off of one of them so that I can put it on my flat surface without my monster rolling away. Now I also used Wilton's little candy eyes to make it easier on me, and that way I didn't need to pipe on the eyeballs as well. But you can pipe on the eyeballs with buttercream frosting if you want, but you don't have to. You can just use the candy pieces from Wilton. And here you see me putting buttercream on. Why am I doing that? It's to help stick my monster to the surface. Otherwise, he will just roll free, and we don't want him to roll away on us. So I'm gonna press that in, and I'm also gonna press it just slightly closer to the back on one side, because on the front I want enough room that I'll be able to put his feet. So I just squish it just slightly to the back on one side, but not all the way to the back, because you want to be able to pipe around. Then just add some buttercream to that piece and smooth it out, and then we will go ahead and put the other half of the dome right on top of that. And I am using my mock American buttercream recipe that you find on my channel. It's actually one that I use quite often for taste and for the fact that it holds up well to piping because of because it's made with the high ratio shortening. So it doesn't have a bad taste like other shortening does. And it's also got great texture, it's nice and smooth, and it doesn't melt in the heat of your hand as easily as other normal buttercream that are made with butter. Also, most of my customers love the taste of this and always ask for it, so it became my normal buttercream recipe. But I use all kinds. Now I'm putting a smoothie straw to hold it in place while I just spread buttercream all over this ball here. And so the smoothie straw kind of helped whenever I put buttercream on it. It was trying to roll a little bit, so just put that smoothie straw all the way through. It keeps both layers together and also gives you something to hold on to while you're spreading that buttercream. Now here is a flexible cake scraper, and that just helps kind of finish off that ball. But again, we're going to be piping hair all over this, so you're probably not going to see that. I just like to get it a little bit neater before I start. But anytime I work with any round objects or anything that is not straight up and down, I love this flexible cake scraper because it really gets it smooth when you can't do it with a completely straight metal scraper. So once we get that as smooth as we want it, we're gonna go ahead and cut off the top of that smoothie straw, and then we're gonna be piping this monster's hair on him. Okay, so here is our large taco tip, and we have filled our large piping bag with buttercream. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna let it build at the bottom and then pull out as I go. Now the bottom is gonna be where we have more of a build, and that's kind of to keep the other areas from falling down on it. But as I pull away, I'm still applying pressure to my piping bag so that I make a little longer hair, and then I release that pressure and keep pulling. And that's what I'm gonna do each time. But only on the bottom do I have quite this buildup of frosting. Otherwise, I just give it a little build and then pull. But the bottom, you're gonna give a little more of a buildup so that it has a little more support. It also keeps that ball from rolling a little more with a little more buttercream down there. So several reasons for wanting a little more at the bottom of this monster here. Also, a little tip when piping with buttercream, your hand's gonna get pretty tired. I mean, if you've ever shaken hands with a buttercream cake decorator who does a lot of piping, you know it, because she's got a good grip. But if you don't pipe all that often, you're not used to all the squeezing it takes with these bags and stuff, my tip is fill the bag a lot less. I mean, yes, you're gonna be stopping more often to be putting more buttercream in your bag, but it's gonna save your arm, trust me. And also you'll have more control. The less buttercream you have in your bag, the more control you have over how your piping goes. Much easier. But I always fill my bag because I'm a glutton for punishment, so just fill that bag all the way up and I pipe away. But that's not how I would recommend it if you are beginning, or if you have arthritis or something in your hand. Just fill that bag only a little bit up and you'll thank me for it, because then you're not squeezing so hard to get it out. Now have a cloth or a paper towel standing by, because often you are going to need to wipe off this tip. See how that is all covered with frosting, well, that's going to make the little hairs not come out properly, and it's just going to make a smush. And you don't want to smush, you want it to actually look like hair. So you're going to have to pipe, and then you're going to be like, oh, yeah, now I need to wipe that tip again so I get nice clean hairlines here on our monster. So I'm going to wipe that off so that you can see that those individual pieces of hair, because that's what makes it so cool. That's why we have this tip. So you are going to have to wipe frequently, especially since you have to press into the cake, because that's why we cover it with a fresh layer of buttercream, is because you want it to be able to stick. You don't want the monster's hair falling off the next day, you know, if you keep it overnight or something. And this is also how I hold my bag. I always twist, hold it in place with my thumb, and press it with my fingers at the top. That way you're not pressing in the middle and then you're working against yourself, because the buttercream wants to go in both directions. And you only want it going down, so don't work against yourself, always press from the top. And as you use your buttercream and you're squeezing it out, I always twist it so that it's more firmly in place as you go down. Press your buttercream down, twist it again. That way it's easier just to squeeze from the top. So you twist as you go and get that buttercream down there. And then of course, here's it on high speed. No, it takes a while to do this, a lot longer if you have a smaller tip, but you can do it with the 233, like I did in my Valentine monsters. The Valentine monsters, they were smaller, little round ones. You can look those up if you want, but I used the 233 for those if you want to see what that looks like. Now I apply a little bit of buttercream to the feet, and then I'm going to just press them right there into the bottom. And that buttercream will help stick them in place and keep them right where you want them at, right on the bottom. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with the horns. We'll apply a little bit of buttercream to the bottom of those, and then place them right on the top. And then for the eyeballs, we're just going to place buttercream on those as well and stick them where we want. And then grab those monster teeth and same thing, buttercream, stick them on. And then after we get the teeth stuck on, then we're going to pipe on the smile with some black buttercream. And if you're wondering what kind of coloring I use for my buttercream, I used AmeriColor Super Black for the black, and I used Electric Blue for the monster. And then I used a toothpick to kind of draw on where my smile was going to go. And then here's a very large writing tip that I used, but you can use whatever size writing tip you're going. And I'm going to go right over the top of the bottom of the teeth, so it looks like the teeth are sticking out of the mouth. And there is our adorable monster. He was a big hit at the birthday party. Yep, it was my son's 9th, so you can let him know happy birthday there. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for lots of fun cake decorating tutorials.